Welcome to the England Spahtens Show. You may be aware that in the past year we became a non-profit organization, and part of that means that we have to have an elected board, and it is currently time for elections. As a result, the next few shows we're going to be talking to candidates for the different roles and asking them what their intentions, their expectations, their ideas are, and giving you more information for casting your vote for the right person. And if you have other questions, if it makes you think of something else you wish we'd asked, you can reach out, put them in the comments, get in touch with us or the candidate directly, so we can make sure that any questions you have are addressed. Please keep in mind that the voting is not a popularity contest. We're looking for the right people for the job. A lot of the candidates are people we know, but there's also a lot of people we don't necessarily know yet, or we haven't heard that much from in the past, which is why we're doing these interviews, give everyone a platform and let everyone talk about what it is they would like to do. Voting is only available to people who are New England Spahtens members as of September 1st, 2017. And we'll be opening the voting up on October 1st, 2017. You can check the forums, you will see the links. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the England Spahtens Show. As we did on the last show, we're going to be talking to some nominees for a board position on the 2018 New England Spahtens board. This particular show is for the social media board position. And the nominees for that particular post are the illustrious Josh Chase and Mr. Jay Kelly. And both of them are on the line. And as we did before, we're going to have Sandy answer, or ask even, some questions that came from the community, and we'll let the gentleman go nuts.
Answer away. Yes, you definitely don't want me answering questions about social media, because as most people who know me on the Spahtens can attest, I royally suck at it, which is why I would never in a million years put my name up for this board position. However, we have two great candidates who are better at it than me. Not that everyone in the world is not qualified to say that, but so we'll just jump right in with the questions. So we've agreed that Jay's going to go first on this first question. So Jay, what does it mean to you to be a Spaten? And if you were to use some of those Spaten qualities in a leadership position, how are you planning on doing that?
Well, thanks for having us, guys. Sandy, thanks for the question. I think being a Spaten to me means a sense of community. I was first introduced to OCRs probably around 2010, 2011, when I heard about Warrior Dash, and I thought to myself, wow, how cool is that? You can run around in the mud, play, jump, crawl, hang off things just like you were when you were a kid, and at the end you get a medal and a beer. There's nothing better, right? I mean, it's just amazing. So I've been interested in the scene for a long time, but it took a couple of years for me to actually get my feet wet. I got my feet wet with the Spartanry, and flash forward about 5 or 6 years, I'm a member of the Spahtens, and this team, this community, is really just that. It's become my go-to place for OCR information, my go-to place for learning about different obstacles and rigs, my go-to place to learn about ultra running for the longer courses. And I know the people who might answer the questions. I know the people who will definitely answer the questions. I know the people who know the people. So it's really become that for me, a community, a go-to forum, a place to touch base with every single day through social media. And I really feel I have a lot of qualities to give to the Spahtens related to social media and leadership. In that, I am a manager of a business currently. I've managed other businesses in the past. I manage social media currently for a business as well as another nonprofit group that I'm a part of, which is a bagpipe band out here in Western Massachusetts. So I do have some of those that experience. I do Twitter, I do Instagram, I do Facebook. I'm kind of I have it at my fingertips all day, every day, as it is. In addition, my leadership qualities tend to lean on the collaborative side. I want to be a part of a team of leaders. I don't want to be the leader. I want to be part of a group who are collaborating, coming together, discussing, making decisions, and moving forward from that point to further the brand or the business or the nonprofit group, which of course is what the Spahtens is.
Excellent. All right, Josh, you have to follow that.
Well, good. Again, thanks for the time and allowing us to expand on why we want these positions. I think it's a valuable asset to at least the people that are voting to get real time in front of the candidates and get an understanding of who they are. So this is perfect. I think to me, when you ask a simple question like, what does it mean to be a Spahtens? For me, it's about being part of something that is bigger than you, really. But while at the same time still maintaining, kind of your personality within the group. And what I love about this group is, you've got all these people that come from different backgrounds, come from different ideals, have different motivations for what they do. And just seeing everybody come together, sharing kind of a common resource and a common interest, I think is huge. We've grown to over 5,000 plus peoples at this point in the group. And to see all these people and see them form new friendships and see them discover new interests and new events, right? I think if you asked me 3 years ago how I would feel about running 3, 4, 5 different Ultra Beast events in a year, I would have told you to go pound sand. But I look at the group itself and I use them as my inspiration for wanting to do some of these things. And I do that because I've seen, members like Nayla and Mike Collins and Kevin Grant and Stephen Rodericks go and do these things. And it just really inspires me to kind of be, as good of a person, an athlete, and a member of this community as I can. And I think mainly what, for me, the role itself is really about making sure that, one, we're presenting ourselves as a positive community in a larger community of obstacle course racing, but also that, we're focusing not just on the team itself, but I think there are a lot of individual personalities within our group that need to be recognized and maybe don't necessarily have the right outlet to do that. So I think whoever, wins the social media chair, and I don't want to say win, but whoever is elected in this case has kind of the unique distinction of, the way this community is, and it's so grounded in social media, has kind of the opportunity to really kind of expand the group and expand the coverage of the group, but at the same time, not just turn it into, something about yourself, but turning it into the community and the individual participant. So the old adage of with great power comes great responsibility kind of rings true, I think, here. So for me, it's really about just making sure that the group is presented in a positive light and using that position in order to show, the different things that this group can do for individuals. So we've seen stories of people, how they have used this group and its motivation to change their lifestyle. And I think that's the responsibility we're presented with is, we've got this great ability to continue that trend. And that's really what I'd love to do.
Very good. All right. Our second question, and both of you touched on this at least a little bit, but is there anything more that you would like to say on the question of why do you want this particular position? And this time, Josh, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I did kind of tab up most of that in the first answer, but I think really, as we're seeing coverage of events become more and more popular on social media, right? Spartan Race is obviously expanding into live broadcasts, and I'm certainly not going to say that we're going to start doing live broadcasts of Spartan Waves, but you never know. That could be something that we talk about. But obviously, this community, more than most others, I think, is grounded mainly in social media. And I think the advantage we have, obviously, is the wide reach that social media presents us with and the ability to reach an audience that isn't necessarily just ours. So I think mainly the reason I would want it is again, just to kind of expand on the reach and influence that the Spahtens have, but also share the story more than anything else. And I think that's really where you're going to see, kind of the most growth for us as a group is expanding to people that may not be familiar with it, but also helping open people's eyes to the different events that are out there, right? As we come up to Thanksgiving, we have our social events like Ruxgiving and such. And something like that, while it is truly a selfless event, I think the community as a whole can certainly benefit from seeing some of the things that we do. So I think, really it's about exposure and promoting the right message and promoting it to a larger audience. And while we are the New England Spahtens, I think we do plenty here that can resonate throughout the rest of the country and the world. And that I think is a big part of why I have my name in the hat here.
All right. Thank you. Jay, what about you?
Well, I'd have to echo some of what Josh said, of course. A big part of what the New England Spahtens is more than just OCR. It is more than just New England. It's certainly more than Spartan races. We have a lot of members who have changed their lifestyles. We have a lot of members who have gained confidence, not just on the field or on the course, but in life, having put themselves out there and fallen on their faces on the course. They've been able to bridge that into their regular lives in opening up to people and talking about the race, explaining why this happened or that happened or why they're doing it. There's a group of us that hike Mount Wachusett on a weekly basis, and the folks that come to that group for training are really amazing. There are people there who have really changed their lives 180 degrees. And it's in part because of this group. And that is such a positive message. It makes sense for somebody, myself or Josh, to push that message out there. With that said, ultimately the New England Spahtens message is a brand, right? We have our positivity, we have our community, we have our races, we have our friends and family in the Spahtens. And that message that we push out, encompassing all that, is a brand, so to speak. So with social media, you're pushing your brand, you're pushing your stars, you're pushing your people, you're pushing your message. And, I find that I have a knack for finding the right photos, for finding the right captions, for getting it to the right audience. And I think pulling this family, this team, this community together and pushing it out to the world through social media makes sense for us as a group, and it's also something that I have some skill at, and I would enjoy using that skill to forward this group's message to the world.
All right. Question number 3, and Jay, this time you'll get to go first, is what is your plan for this position? Now, we're not looking for specifics. Obviously, we're doing a 10 to 20 minute podcast right now, but in general, do you have any plans as far as things that you'd like to do specifically with social media?
Well, I think that's a great question. Personally, I'm not having been an admin within the Spahtens in the past, not having been behind the scenes, I don't really know what the current board and the future board's desire is for social media. I know there either is or will be a team statement, a mission statement, and obviously the social media coordinator would be one who would then take that statement and kind of push it to the world through social media. Whether that means it's, a post every day, a post every week, if it's specific to an event or not, I'm not really sure where the board stands on what their desire is currently or will be in the future. However, I do have my hands on my technological devices most times throughout the day. I am able and willing to push that message out via whatever social media site and whichever way that looks at that time, whether it is, a Facebook Live video or a tweet or a Instagram post connected to a Facebook post, etc. I'll be willing and able to post and push our message to the world, as often as it's deemed desirable by the board.
All right. Josh?
Yeah, so Jay kind of hits on a lot of good points, and I think, the key to social media, I think, is just maintaining relevancy more than anything else. I've worked with Paul on a couple of our different outlets before, and we've got the Instagram page, we've got the Twitter feed, we've got obviously the Facebook page. So I think it's mainly about finding the right level of content, and also finding the right level of content for each outlet, right? So Instagram obviously is a more photo-based platform, where Facebook is obviously more news and article-based, and Twitter's just kind of the short hits. But, I think for me, what I mainly want to do with it is just, again, use it to kind of promote some of the races that we go to, because the big name companies obviously are always going to cover the Spartan races and the Savage races of the world and the Tough Mudders of the world. But I think, and we've seen this in the group the last couple of weeks, we've struggled a little bit with why some of those other races that we're lucky enough to have access to are so good without having some type of, not documentation, but some type of experience for people that are maybe not able to visit one of these races today. So do we take something like a Fit Challenge, and does the social media chair or somebody that he has enlisted help, set up a live feed, or, we're lucky enough to know a lot of the race directors here. Do we do some type of, situation where we're interviewing race directors or giving inside looks at some of the races and events that are coming up? Or do we focus on, a different athlete every week within the group? I mean, heck, we've got 5,000 of them to pick from. I'm sure we can find something unique about every one of us. So I think it's just really about, again, putting relevant content out there, stuff that individuals want, but also I'm big about enlisting the community and getting feedback on what they want to see. So obviously that would certainly be a part of it as well, I think.
All right. Sounds good. For the next two questions, I told you guys in advance that I would ask them individually, but I realized they're actually fairly combined in the idea of what they cover. So the next two questions are, will there be opportunities, and how will you get or accept help from other Spahtens, including each other, since only one of you will be formally elected? And what does being a team player mean to you? And are you able to collaborate not only with the rest of the board, but with the rest of the team? So again, those are kind of connected to each other. So how well do you play with others? And let's see, Josh, I think it's your turn to go first.
Sure. How well do I play with others? I'll plead the fifth on that one. No, I think something like this is, I can see you laughing, Paul. I can't hear you, but I can see you laughing. Something like this, I think, unless you're Margaret Schlachter, God, I butchered that name. One person I don't think can handle kind of running around and gathering photos and everything, because in the long run, we also like to race as well. So while we may be out in the race, I think it's certainly important to surround ourselves with a good group of people that, one, we would trust and we could obviously work with. And that could be either the board, or that could be individual members of the community that have maybe stepped up, specifically to help out, or ones that we've identified that would be a good help for something like this. Obviously, there's certain members of our group that are more and more active on social media. There's certain people that are not, huge fans of it. So I think obviously it's definitely a team-based effort. As much as I would love to go to every single event every weekend, I understand I can't make every event, so I wouldn't hesitate in, enlisting the help of another team member or board member to kind of, relay information or get us pictures or whatever it may be from an event itself. So something like this, in order to be successful, you have to be collaborative, I think, and that probably goes for just about every chair in this board. I don't think it's going to be a one-man job, and heck, when I think about it, I already kind of get the sweats of how much work could be involved if you truly want to take this on as a full-time position. So, something like this, you either dedicate your life to it, or you surround yourself with a group that's good enough to help you cover all facets that you're interested in.
All right. Jay.
I really have to give it to Josh. I mean, he pretty much hit the nail on the head with that one. This group is the individual members of this group are very involved in the group. They want to be involved. They like being involved. They're involved for a reason. It's hit a chord with them. they're going to help you whether you want it or not. In some cases, they're going to take pictures. They're going to send them to you. They're going to tag you in them. They're going to make sure you see what they saw or what they want the greater group to see. They're going to help you regardless. With that said, you need the help. The different social media platforms, the number of races, even just the big races within a calendar year locally, are tremendous. We have a very vibrant OCR scene here in New England. There are literally races every weekend. Bigger races most weekends and smaller races others. There are multiple races that multiple members of our group attend over the course of certain weekends. So, we have to enlist the help of others. It would be overwhelming to not do that. So to have those trusted folks on the ground, taking pictures, capturing pictures, captioning pictures even, and sending you the latest updates and news, hilarious things that have happened on the course, because hilarious things always happen on the course. That's going to be necessary. I mentioned it earlier. I find myself a collaborative manager. It's how I manage. So assuming I'm elected to this board position, it is basically a management position, so to speak, within this organization. And I'll take that very seriously, but I will also be collaborative in the fact that I will be asking for other people's opinions and help. I will be taking criticism when it's given, and hopefully it's given in a positive manner, and we can have a conversation around anything that maybe members of the board would like to see done a little differently. And I look very forward to helping the New England Spahtens put our best face forward into the media, into the world of social media.
Excellent. All right. Our question number 6 is anything position specific. And of course, during our request for information, we didn't get anything specific. So we'll move on right to number 7, which is final comments. Anything I didn't ask, anything that you would like to wrap up with, anything that you wish had been asked that didn't. And I do want to reiterate that we will be available for those of you who are listening to this podcast. Let's say something one of the gentlemen brought up brings up another question for you that you didn't ask before, or you didn't have an opportunity. You're always welcome to ask questions in the comment thread for the podcast, and we will do our best to answer them. You can also reach out to us via Facebook Messenger or on Facebook in general. And so I'm going to turn it over to the guys for their final comments. And let's see, Jay, you get to go first on this one. So Josh, you have to worry about him saying what you wanted to say.
Fair enough.
Paul, thank you for your time today. Sandy, thank you for your time. Josh, thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure talking with you guys today. I really hope to win this race, of course. But knowing Josh, the little bit that I know him, we're not even friends on Facebook yet. We're going to have to change that. But we've interacted a little bit here and there. Of course, I see him on social media. I see his interaction with the team on social media. He'd clearly be a great candidate for this chair position. With that said, I'm hoping to become the chair person. I do think I have a lot to offer. I have time to get things done. I do go to a lot of races. I do know many of the people in the group. And, I think I have certain skills that would align very well with this position. I look forward to using those skills to better the group and to better communicate the message of the group to the world. And I know we have a lot of people that are willing and able to help and who would be very trustworthy in doing so, so that this position doesn't become overwhelming for myself or Josh or whomever else might hold the position in the future. I look forward to helping the group to the best of my abilities, and good luck, Josh, but vote Jay Kelly.
All right, Josh, your turn.
Well, first off, in the interest of extending olive branches, Jay, I did just send you a Facebook friend request, so we've already mended that fence. So
perfect.
No, again, more than anything, certainly thanks for the time, and Sandy, thanks for organizing the chance for not only us to speak why we're interested in the positions, but also obviously to allow the members a chance to hear out the individual participants, because while obviously we all, interact with each other, we certainly, I don't think, get enough time to talk about this. So this is a perfect outlet to do so. And I think for me, I've been lucky enough to be as part of the ambassador team with the Spahtens, and using that obviously not necessarily just as kind of a name drop, but it also kind of allows me at least to get a little bit of a rundown of the inner workings of the group, and see some of the things that maybe the regular members may not see on a daily basis. But at the same time, I've also obviously had the pleasure of working with Paul, and as much as Sandy does not like social media, podcast is considered social media. So we've dragged her into this as well. And I think if anybody can get Sandy in social media, that's an instant success. So again, I think for me, it's doing what we do now. I think we do it well, but I think obviously there's room for improvement. And I know Paul, obviously, as much as he works on the social media feeds, certainly doesn't have the time to dedicate towards doing this 24/7.
Hello.
So I think, the big thing is this is mainly about positive promotion of the group, getting our message out there, helping individuals understand what we do, why we do it, and helping future members, or future possible members become members, based on the story that the Spahtens have. And I think the Spahtens are only, equal to the kind of the sum of their members. And I think the members have the story, and certainly the events are a great story to tell as well. But in our group, I think more than anything, the message that you'll hear from most people when you ask them is this community is really formed up because of how solid the group of members that we have is. So, the social media chair is going to have the dubious task of telling that story, meeting those members, and understanding, what's the right way to communicate to them. And again, having the pleasure of doing things like the podcast and working with Paul on social media in the past, I think puts me in a good position to help and continue that and grow it. But obviously, I certainly encourage members to get out and vote, whether they vote for myself or they vote for Jay. I'd love to just see participation overall, but, like Jay said, vote for me. But, again, thanks so much for having us. And my main goal, obviously, is just to make sure that the group gets a positive message out there. And I think either myself or Jay will be fully equipped to do that. And I certainly look forward to seeing how the members vote.
Sounds good. And one of you is going to have the honor of trying to figure out how to get Paul every once in a while to stop. Hey, this isn't your position anymore. So
Good
chill
luck.
the heck out, dude. So good luck with that. Thank you, gentlemen, both for your time tonight. I know it's late, and it's not always easy to coordinate everything, but thank you for being willing to work. And I do want to say that it will be interesting because we do, in a couple of the positions that we have coming up, we've got someone who's kind of part of the old guard who's been around for a while and some fresh blood. And the question is, I think both are going to be absolutely vital to this community as a whole, because without new ideas, how do you move forward? So I look forward to this as well. Paul, you want to wrap us up?
So I spend all day on Facebook and Instagram, and whoever can figure out Snapchat gets my vote.
Well, Snapchat, as much as, I love it because my company supports it, Snapchat's a dying platform. Instagram's
Oh my God. It's a confusing platform. It makes me feel old. No, thanks for your time, guys. Social media is a big one because it's the face of NES. I think... the stories you both told about where we want to go, it's critical. I'm all in for someone to help out with this stuff. It's a big beast. Thanks for your time, guys.
Well, now remember, Paul, you'll be the one helping out.
That's true. Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.